again?
Wipe over his mouth with wet cotton balls.
Okay. Hit that thing and turn the speaker on. Inshallah. Yeah, is it on? Alright.
Something about passport.
Huh?
It says a passport.
Oh no, that's بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا اللهم زدنا علما إنك أنت عليم حكيم اللهم اجعل هذه المحاضرة حجة لنا لا حجة علينا يا رب العالمين أما بعد. Last week we stopped at what do we do إذا نزل به يعني if a person has something called marad al-maut, the type of sickness that could lead to one's departure from this earth. The type of sickness that could lead to one's departure from this earth is called marad al-maut. It's a type of sickness that will eventually, usually in situations like that, lead to someone's death. Leads to someone's death. So in this particular aspect here, it's from the Sunnah of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yulaqinahu. Yani this means we get them to say La ilaha illallah. If anyone was here last week, how many times did we get them to say it?
One time, 3 the next. 1 3.
One time for starters and 3 at the most. 3 at the most. Like, so we'll pick up in Zaad Al-Mustaqni. It says, إِلَّا أَن يَتَكَلَّمْ بَعْدَهُ فَيَعِيدُ تَلْقِينُهُ. It says, here they're talking about getting them to say La ilaha illallah multiple times here. He said we get them to say it up until 3 times. لِيَكُونْ آخِرَ كَلَامٍ. So that La ilaha illallah is their last speech that comes from them. وَيَكُونُ بِرِفْقٍ. And when we get them to say La ilaha illallah, we want to be gentle with them. We want to be gentle with them. We don't want to be like people who are trying to force. Make sure you say it. You're trying to force them. Rather, you're trying to be gentle with them. You want to be gentle with that person. This is because, as the ulama mentioned, gentleness is matlub. It is something that is sought after in every situation. In every situation that we should try to be gentle. And he says, فَهُنَا أَوْلَى. And in this case, it's more deserving to be gentle with someone in this sense right now, due to the fact that this person has a sickness that will cause them to die. That generally or usually will cause that person to die. Like, what do we do when it comes to a person being sick and we see them in this state that they could be headed to death? Is there anything that we should do besides get them to say La ilaha illallah? Does anyone know anything? Huh? Encourage them to make tawbah. Jayyid. What else? What should you do as the visitor? Okay, good. We went through that. What else? So he said moisten their mouth, get them to make tawbah. Is there anything else that have been legislated from any of our scholars of the past with regards to a person in this situation? Does anyone know? I'm sorry? Comfort them. Naam, that's good as well. Remind them of Allah's mercy. Mumtaz. So here, we're going to talk about something a little different that some of you may not be entirely familiar with. It says, يَقْرَأُ عِنْدَهُ. in this case, if a person is sick and they're dying, and that type of sickness, they say that many of the Salaf hold the position that is highly recommended that you read Surah to Yasin, that you recite Surah to Yasin, لِقَوْلِهِ اقْرَؤُوا عَلَى مَوْتَاكُمْ Surah to Yasin. Now, some of the ulama hold this hadith not to be authentic. However, you do find many of the Salaf, many of the scholars of the past implementing this particular narration, and from them we have Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala and others. They say you don't read this when they're dead or when they pass away. Rather, you recite this while they're in the state of passing away. In other words, when they're in their sickness, not after they pass away. No. You could say hospice, yes. Yep. Hospice, yep. طيب. And they say that this, reciting this surah, and some of them, like Imam Ahmed and others, they say recite Surah Al-Fatiha, and some of them say read anything from the Quran. And they say, هَذَا يُسَهِّل. This makes it easy for the soul to leave the body. It makes it easier for the soul to leave the body. And Imam Ahmed, rahimahullah ta'ala, he holds the position, just read anything with this person from the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like, when we have the deceased or the person that is heading that way, what should we do with their body? Like, say for example, they're in a home, they're in hospice, etc. Is there a particular location their body should be facing, and if so, how? Does anyone understand the question?
No.
Okay. So, facing the Qibla, ahsant. He said, facing the Qibla. How do we face the Qibla? If they're laying down, how do we face the Qibla? The ulama, they mentioned 2 ways of facing the Qibla for the person that is laying down and is sick. Does anyone know what those 2 ways are?
His feet.
Say again?
His feet.
His feet? What about his feet? His feet facing the Qibla? Ahsant. That's one way. Anyone know of another way? Not the head. The what? The right side. Ahsant. So either you're going to have him laying on his side, his right side or her right side facing the Qibla. That's one way. Or have their laying on their back with their feet facing the Qibla. With their feet facing the Qibla. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he mentioned in the authentic hadith, Qiblatukum ahya'an wa amwatan, that the Qibla is for us when we are living and when we are deceased. When we are deceased. And they say that having the person being on his right side is actually better. It's better. And if you cannot, then have him laying on his back with his feet or her feet facing the Qibla will suffice. And they say in this case, if their feet is facing the Qibla, if you have a type of bed where you can raise the back so that their head is also facing the Qibla, this is also this is something that is better. Now we're going to talk about when a person actually passes away, when they take their last breath. When they take their last breath. يقول المصنف رحمه الله فإذا مات السنة تقميضه وشد لحييه وتليينه مفاصله. This is, you got to pay attention, especially for those of you who wash bodies. I'm pretty sure this is something that you're already familiar with. However, these are according to the school of Imam Ahmed ibn Hanbal rahimahullah ta'ala. So he says that لأنه, first of all, if a person passes, it is sunnah تغميضه, to close their eyes. Close their eyes when they pass away. And this is due to the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, أنه أغمض أبا سلمة. Aba Salama, but from the Sahaba who passed away, the Prophet ﷺ, he closed his eyes. وَقَالَ إِنَّ الْمَلَائِكَةَ يُؤَمِّنُونَ عَلَى مَنْ تَقُولُونَ. So when a person passes away, it is also said to make the dua, Bismillah ala wafat Rasulillah. Bismillah ala wafat Rasulillah. You familiar with this, huh? طيب. This is something that the scholars of the past, they also mentioned with regards to this here. If it is a woman that passes away, يُغَمِّطُ ذَاتَ مَحْرَمٍ, that it is better for a mahram, for that woman to cover her eyes, to close her eyes. It is better for the mahram to cover her eyes. وَكُرِحْ مِنْ حَائِدٍ وَجُنُبٍ. And if a woman is on her menses, then it is hated for her to do it. And likewise, if a woman is in a state of janaba, sexual impurity, it is also hated for them to do it as well. Like, وَيُشُدَّ لِحْيَيْهِ. So in this case, when a person passes away, you want to close their eyes and try to keep their mouth shut, right? What is the wisdom behind that? Shaitan going inside the body? I'm not familiar with that. I'm not saying this, I don't know about that. Yeah, Ahsant. So the Salaf, they say you keep the mouth shut to prevent bugs and rodents and things like that crawling into a person's mouth.
I got a question. Close your eyes, specific, use right hand or your left hand?
Closing the eyes? Allah. Lakin, Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, there's an authentic hadith that the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam uses right things, anything that's honorable, and uses left hand for anything that is Mustaqni. So based on that qaida in general, it would seem like it would be better to use your right hand, and Allah knows best. The next issue is talyeem mafasilihi. So here, so this is as soon as the person passes away, these are some things that a person should do. And the purpose of doing this is to make it easier to wash the body. So what you want to do is, you want to take their hands and straighten their hands out, their fingers, straighten them out. Straighten the fingers out. Once you do that, you want to يَرُدُّ ذِرَاعَيْهِ إِذَا عُدَدَيْهِ. So you're going to take the arm, and you're going to push the arm all the way up and stretch it out so that it doesn't get stiff. Both arms, huh? You want to take the hand and straighten the fingers out. After that, you want to take each arm and bend them. Bend the arms, both arms. ثُمَّ يَرُدَّهُمَ إِلَى جَنْبِهِ. And then after that, you're going to return them back to the side. Yes? Huh? They don't specify, but in general, you can. In general, maybe you will start with the right. In general, you're going to move the arms, the right and the left. ثُمَّ يَرُدَّهُمَا وَيَرُدَّ سَاقِهِ. Same thing with the legs. You're going to take the legs, you're going to bend them up, all the way up, and then pull them back. All the way up and then pull them back, so that they have some fluidity there, so that there's some movement. Once we get past that portion, once we get past that part, there's some other things that we need to do. One of the reasons, as they mentioned, the reason why you want to do this, it also helps before washing the body, and it helps before the body becomes hard. Before the body becomes hard or stiff. SubhanAllah. And they say, فَإِنْ شَقَّ ذَلِكَ تَرْكُهُ. And if it's something that is difficult, perhaps is difficult, then obviously you can't do it, then you leave it. You don't try to bend someone's arm to break it because you want to implement this part here. Rather, if it moves, alhamdulillah. If not, khalli, leave it. If not, then leave it. The next part, after you do this, you want to khal'u thiyabihi. Take off the garments. Take off the garments. Take off the garments. Once you take the garments off, yasturuhu bithawb, meaning you're going to take his clothing off and you're going to cover that person with something. They're not going to be sitting in front of you uryanan with no clothes on. As you take their clothes off, you're going to cover their body. As you take their clothes off, you're going to cover their body. This is due to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that was reported on Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, where she said, "And the Nabiya sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, hina tawuffiya sujjiya bi burdin hibra." That the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, when he passed away, that they covered his body. They covered his body. As you cover the body, it is also recommended that anything that is hanging over, that you wrap it up underneath. So there's nothing hanging on the ground, that there's nothing hanging out. And they say because if there's a smell, at least if you wrap it somewhat. This is before you wash the body. If you wrap it, at least the smell will not spread as much. وَوَدْعُ حَدِيدَةً. The next thing you want to place, they say hadid here. Hadid here is like metal or something that has some weight to it. They say you put this on the person's stomach. Why do you put it on the stomach? They say you put it on the stomach so that the stomach won't swell up. If you don't have something on the stomach will swell. So they say you put some hadid ala batnihi. And it says, "Liqul Anas." This is due to the statement of Anas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, "Da'u ala batnihi shay'an min hadid illa yantafikh." He said you put something upon the stomach so that the stomach will not swell. So that the stomach will not swell. Once you do that, وَوَدْعُهُ عَلَى السَّرِيرِ غَسْلِهِ. Now we're going to move towards washing the body. We're going to move towards what? Washing the body, right? So وَدْعُهُ عَلَى السَّرِيرِ غَسْلِهِ. So you're going to put the body on a bed for washing the body. And they say that the bed, or the place that you put the body on, one of the reasons that you don't leave a body on the ground, does anyone know why? The same thing the brother mentioned. Bugs, animals might try to bite at the body, so on and so forth. You're going to pick the body up and place the body on a bed, slightly tilted to some degree. Munhadir, as they say, the top slightly up and the bottom, the feet slightly down, slightly. And this is so that the head is above the legs, so that when you pour the water on the body, it will go. Now, depending on what type of mechanism is used, sometimes they may have tables that you can lay flat, and if you wet, there's drains there anyway, right? But this is during the time of the past, they didn't have that. So they would make sure that it was slanted so that the water could slide down. طيب. وإسراع تجهيزه إما تغير فجأة. And you want to be quick in preparing the deceased as long as they did not pass away suddenly. In other words, if this person passed away with a sickness that we knew was coming, then quickly prepare that person and bury that person. However, if the person passed faj'atan, yani that we didn't know, it just happened suddenly, in this case, it is better. It says, "La bats an yantadhar bihi man yahduruhu." In this case, in any other case in particular, it is no problem. Let's say the sunnah is to quickly do it, but we have up to how many days? 3. So then, let's say, for example, a person passes away and they have family. You want to give their family some time to come, as long as it doesn't exceed the limits, as long as it is something that is reasonable. In some cases, especially in Mecca and Saudi Arabia, for example, a person may pass in the morning and they'll pray over Dhuhr. They die in the morning and they'll pray over their body in Dhuhr. By after Salat al-Dhuhr, they're on the ground. However, in our society, it may be a little more difficult. Family may want to be informed, etc., but you still have up to how many days? 3 days. We don't, as Muslims, it doesn't mention this here, but we'll say we don't embalm our bodies. We don't put anything in the Muslim's body when they pass. We don't bury them in the ground a week or 2 weeks or a month after they pass. This is not from the way of the Muslims, as we'll talk about that later on as we reach that point in the book. And oddly enough, they even mention signs that a person is deceased. They give you 4 signs that a person is deceased. And one of the signs, and then obviously this is not for us, this is for doctors at Tibet. However, they do mention these things. And from them is that a person's temples will start to sink in. The temple will sink in. The next one is mail anfihi, that the person's nose will slant to one side or the other. This is a sign that a person is passed away. And the hands will have it'll just fall, like there's no life in the hands or the feet. It'll be like limb, like nothing there. So once that person passes away, even before the washing in totality, some of the things that are very, very important to deal with as infad wasiyatuhu. So before we can even get into washing, we have to look, does this person have a will, yes or no? Why is that important? Before we start washing the body or anything like that, why is it important to check and see if this person has a will? Ahsant. Because that person may have specified someone in particular to wash their body. That person may have specified someone to wash that body. It will behoove you to look into that affair. It's very important. The next one. The next issue. يجب الإسراع في قضاء دينه. If that person has any dains, any loans, any debt to anyone, it is also very important to settle those debts immediately on behalf of that person if you are able. On behalf of that person if you are able. A brother mentioned to me one of the students in Egypt, in Misr. I was speaking to him a few days ago. We were talking about some of the issues of Janaa'iz. And he mentioned that a Sheikh Musa Nasr, I think he was one of the students of Sheikh Al-Albani rahimahullah. They said when he passed away in Mecca, he had in his pocket, his will was always with him. And he just passed away. He didn't know he was going to pass away. He happened to be visiting. I think he was there for Umrah or something like this. And when he went there to visit, they say when the Sheikh passed away, rahimahullah, they was taking his clothes, and they realized he had his wasiyah. His will was in his pocket. Shufa tamassuk. Look how some of the salaf, or some of the scholars, they hold tight to the deen. He had his will with him. Now,
debts and loans, what does that specify? Does that mean like student loans?
All loans, Akhi. Any debts, settle those debts. If you can't settle them, perhaps someone can settle them on your behalf. There are Muslims, mashallah, tabarakallah, especially in the land of the Muslims, and I'm sure here, if they hear a person passes away and they have debts, some people will pay their debts for them just because. The wisdom, Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam wouldn't pray over some of the companions if they had debts. Dying with a debt is not a good thing for a Muslim. A Muslim should strive to be debt-free. This should be the goal of all of us, inshallah. And they say, pay the person's debts. سَوَاءٍ إِنْ كَانَ لِلَّهِ أَوْ لِخَلْقِهِ. Pay the debts regardless of if those debts are to Allah or to a person. What we mean by debts to Allah, perhaps that person swore to do something that didn't do it. Or they have a hajj that they didn't make that they were supposed to make. For example, anything that they have in debts that they have to be able, you have to pay. An-Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, Nafsul mu'min mu'allaqatun bidaynihi hatta yuqba an. An-Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he mentioned that a person's debt is attached to that person until someone pays it off for him. Nasallallahu salam wa afiyah. وَلَا بَأْسَ بِتَقْبِيلِهِ. And when a person passes away, there's no harm in kissing that person. Some people may say, it's haram to kiss that. There's no harm in kissing the deceased or even looking at the deceased. وَلَوْ بَعْدَ تَكْفِينِهِ. Even after you wrap the person up, you can still look at the person, etc. طيب. How do we wash? Now we're going to go through the issues of al-fasl fi taghsil al-mayyit wa takfini. Now we're going to get into actually washing the body, who can wash, etc. Ghasl al-mayyit. Washing the body of the deceased here, we're talking about a Muslim, a deceased Muslim. Wa takfinu, and covering him up. The ruling in this in Islam is that it is fardun kifayah, meaning it is a communal obligation. That means إِذَا قَامَ بِهِ بَعْض سَقَطَ عَنَ الْبَاقِينَ. That if some people from the community stand up to do it, then the sin is removed off of everyone. However, if no one do it, then the sin is upon who? All of the Muslims. This is called Fardu Kifaya. What is Fardu Kifaya? Washing the body and covering the body. And we're going to get into a lot of that. Ghaslul Mayyit, washing the deceased, is Fardu Kifaya. Wa takfinahu, and covering the body is Fardu Kifaya. Likewise, praying over the deceased is Fardu Kifaya. Wa dafnuhu, and burying the deceased is also Fardu Kifaya. Who are the first people who have more of a right to wash the deceased body over anyone else? Who? You say the family? Right.
Husband or the wife.
The husband or the wife? Right. Anyone else?
I need immediate
The immediate family. Right. Huh? The family if they're Muslim. Anyone else? Want to take a stab? Huh? Mother, father. Right. The person who has the most right of washing the body immediately is, we mentioned it, whoever they put in their will. Whoever they put where? In their will, in their wasiyah. So if they say, I want fulan, whoever to wash the body, then that person has more of a right over the mother, the father, the husband, the wife, anyone else. This is what they specify. Right. After that,
So I had a question before you went too far. Now, with regard to it being right?
yes.
Now, you know, nowadays here in the West, we got issues we're talking about, like people's parents who may not be Muslim, and they decide they want to do something different. Does that
I'm confused.
the burden of that sin, does that fall on the Muslim?
I don't understand the question.
Let's say we have a Muslim who passes.
A Muslim passes away.
And his parents decide, or his mother decides, well, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to turn my son this way.
Ahsant. Yes. Yes, that falls on the Muslim, not shirk. No doubt.
You're supposed to fight with the family?
Huh?
Like me, my family's not Muslim, so if I die...
So why don't you have a will?
Yeah, this is the reason.
This is the reason for having a will. Putting something in place stating that if you pass away, I want to be buried as a Muslim.
Where can you get a will?
Where can you get a will from?
Like a brother, I'm the only Muslim in my family.
So, I mean, you can go to any lawyer that can help you write out a will. In fact, maybe we should put something together here to make that happen. Yes.
At the funeral home, it's like the funeral home. They have a pre-need, so you go in there and you set a pre-need, and it's notarized. So you have a legal documentation when you die that we'll go retrieve the body.
So why don't you get some of that, bring them here, and we can have a day the Muslims to come down and fill that out and keep that with them, and y'all keep it on file. That way, if something happens to brothers or sisters, the Muslim bodies could be, the family won't say, hey, no. We have legal documentation saying this will override that. So that's something that we should do. In fact, my advice to you, if that's the field you work in, you should pass that to all the masajid in the city. You should have that. Not just here. Everyone should have that. Whether they go to your place to get their body done or not, the fact that they can give this to the family and say, look, this is what they signed. This is what they want. Huh? I think that's very important. Yeah, how about that? Especially since we're in the first 10 days of the Hijjah. Come get the barakah. Allah yuwaffiq. Tayyib. After the wasiyah, thumma abuhu, then the next person that has the right is the father. Thumma jaddahu, then the grandfather. Thumma aqrab fa aqrab min asabat. Then after that, the next one, the closest person in lineage. And this goes back to mawarith, yes. We're going to get to that. Right now we're talking in general, then we're going to get specific. Alright? Thumma dhawi arham. So in general, whoever's on the will, then the father, then the grandfather, and then aqrab fa aqrab min asabat, meaning the closest one from the family members. In terms of Islamic inheritance. Islamic inheritance determines the closeness of family ties. Islamic inheritance determines the closeness of family ties. And then we have a family member called Dhawi Arham. Family members that generally do not inherit from you. Like who? Who would be a family member that will not inherit from you? Let's say, for example, your aunt's son. Khalatuk or ammatuk, paternal aunt or maternal aunt. Their son will not inherit from you. Never. That's your cousin. That's your first cousin. Now, your uncle, your paternal uncle and your maternal aunt, perhaps their children, possibly, or at least the paternal uncle son will inherit from you. Possibly. It's very detailed, Sheikh. That's a whole, not to death. We'll just stop this class and move on to something else. I just wanted to give you an example of someone who may not inherit and someone who may inherit, but they're both cousins. Tayyib. وَالْأُنْثَى وَصِيَّتُهَا. And as for a woman, so as we first mentioned, that was for the men. For the men. So the father, the grandfather, then the closest in lineage in that case. وَالْأُنْثَى. As for the woman, then the first person that has a right to wash her body is whoever she stipulates in her will. Whoever she stipulates in her will. ثُمَّ قَرْبَ فَقَرْبَ. Then the closest to her from the women in her family. Then the closest to her from the women in her family. But yeah. With regards to brother and sister, a brother does not wash his sister's body, and a sister does not wash her brother's body. I just had to mention that. وَلِكُلِّ مِنَ الزَّوْجَيْنِ غُسْلُ صَاحِبِهِ. And as for the husband and the wife, then each one of them could wash the body of the other. وَلِرَجُلٍ وَامْرَأَةٍ غُسْلُ مَنْ لَهُ دُونَ 7 سِنِينَ. As for the man and the woman, they can wash any child under the age of 7. Well, they can wash any child in Islam under the age of 7. When we say under the age of 7, we're not talking about the Gregorian calendar. We're talking about 7 on the Islamic calendar. Any ruling in the religion of Al-Islam that has to do with age, it's always talking about the Islamic calendar, and it's never talking about the Gregorian calendar. Never. Sorry? No, we're not talking. We're talking about children under the age of 7. The man or the woman. A man or a woman could watch a child under the age of 7. Under the age of 7. Once they reach the age of 7 and above, then at this point in time, if it's a boy, then the boys, and if it's a girl, then the girls or the women. طيب إن مات رجل We only have 10 minutes left. And I wanted to get into the issue of the non-Muslims, family members. Huh? That's important. All right. Well, so then we're gonna talk about that. Even if we're not gonna delay one really, yani, but we're gonna cover that, inshallah, huh?
Real quick, let's say the child.
Let me finish this shit because the time is.
Just the child though.
What about the child?
Will they be able to become the body of their parent? Like
In general, yeah. In general, we mentioned the rules for that, right? Like, وَإِنْ مَاتَ رَجُلٌ بَيْنَ نِسْوَتَيْنِ If a man passed away in the presence of women, or a woman passed away in the presence of men. Pay attention. If a man passed away in the presence of women, or a woman passed away in the presence of men, in this case the body is not washed, rather you ammam. You make tayammum for that person. You make tayammum. Huh? Yeah. This is why, in general, we need sisters to learn how to wash bodies, as well as brothers to know how to wash bodies. Right. Now, this is the issue here. وَيَحْرُمْ أَنْ يُغَسِّلَ مُسْلِمْ كَافِرًا. It is impermissible for a Muslim to wash the body of a non-Muslim, or a non-Muslim to wash the body of a Muslim. طيب. F1. And there's another issue. It also mentions hermaphrodites. Does anyone know what a hermaphrodite is? Say that again? A person that doesn't figure out, or a person that was born with two different organs, the male organ and the female organ, right? This is real life. It happens. So in cases like that, in this case, they say you ammam, you make tayammum for that person. You make tayammum, unless there's someone mithlihi, but in general you make tayammum. Like, the next issue. يحرم أن يغسل مسلم كافرا. That is impermissible for a Muslim to wash a non-Muslim and like this. But here we're going to talk about washing a non-Muslim. طيب. كذلك they say ويدفنه بل يواري وجوبا لعدم يواريه. They say that this is the position of Imam Ahmed. And he has a couple positions, but this is the one that they mention here in this book. And the only reason why I'm going to mention some of the differences of opinion on this issue is because this is an issue that affects most people who converted to Islam, which is 90% of the people here. Especially here in America, we have tons of non-Muslim family members. So I think it would be remiss if I didn't mention the other scholars' positions as it relates to this, because it may affect everyone. It may affect everyone. And in fact, it may even be a reason to cut off family ties, that family members may not deal with you again after that. Especially if you have a siblings and a parent passes away and you decide not to, what are you allowed to do, what are you not allowed to do, without those issues being made clear, it could cause a lot of problems in a family. And Allah knows best. So, according to Imam Ahmed, Then he says in this case it is not permissible to clothe them, to follow the janazah. Obviously, you cannot pray over them. And this is due to the statement of Allah Jalla wa Ala, لا تتولوا قوما غضب الله عليهم. Do not take care of a group of people where they have earned Allah's anger. أو يدفنه, or you do not bury them. When you do not follow them, their janaa'iz. And this is due to the statement, due to the qatl Badr min fil qareeb. If you look at the battle of Badr, the Muslims had non-Muslim family members that died and they didn't do anything with their bodies. And that was a situation with regards to the janaa'iz for the non-Muslims. طيب. Let me finish. So now we're going to read some of the positions of some of the ulama with regards to this issue of following the funeral processions, etc., as it relates to non-Muslims. Right. They say following the janazah of non-Muslims, there is no dalil that is straightforward saying that you إنما ورد الدليل قطعي في حرمة الصلاة عليه, that there's no dalil saying, there's no clear evidence to say that you can't follow the funeral, but there is clear evidence saying that you cannot pray over them or make dua for them. And in fact, the fact that you cannot pray over them and make dua for them, this is ijma'. This is a consensus among the scholars of Islam, and this is due to the statement of Allah Jalla wa Ala, where Allah says, وَلَا تُصَلِّ عَلَىٰ أَحَدٍ مِّنْهُمْ مَاتَ أَبَدًا وَلَا تَقُمْ عَلَىٰ قَبْرِهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, do not pray over any of them that pass away ever. وَلَا تَقُمْ عَلَىٰ قَبْرِهِ, and do not pray over their grave. وَإِنَّهُمْ كَفَرُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ وَمَاتُوا وَهُمْ فَاسِقُونَ. This is because they disbelieved in Allah and the messenger of Allah, and they died in the state of being sinners. And we have in another ayah, Surah At-Tawbah, Allah says, وَمَا كَانَ لِلنَّبِيِّ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَن يَسْتَغْفِرُوا لِلْمُشْرِكِينَ وَلَوْ كَانُوا أُولِي الْقُرْبَى مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُمْ أَنَّهُمْ أَصْحَابُ الْجَحِيمِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and it's not for the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam and those who believe to seek forgiveness for the disbelievers, even if they are their closest companion, their closest family members, after the clarification has come to them, for indeed they will be companions of the fire. وقال إمام النووي في المجموع أجمع على تحريم الصلاة على الكافر, that there is a scholarly consensus over the prohibition of praying over non-Muslims. وقال بحرمة الاتباع جناز الكافر بأن ذلك يشبه الصلاة عليه. As for the ones that say you can't even follow the funeral, they say this is because this is similar to praying over them. They say it is similar. وهي محرمة عليه بالنص القرآن, and praying over them is muharram with clear text from the Quran. وجاء في الإقناع للبهوتي الحنبلي. Imam al-Bahuti also wrote the Murbi and other books of Hanbali fiqh. He says, إنما منع المسلم من اتباع جنازة الكافر لما فيه من التعظيم له. He said that it is haram for a Muslim to follow the funeral processions of a non-Muslim because this is magnification of that person's disbelief. وَتَطْهِيرٌ فَأَشْبَهَ الصَّلَاةِ عَلَيْهِ. He said this is due to it, or according to them, this is similar to praying over them. Merely following the janazah or the funeral processions of a non-Muslim is similar to praying over them, and praying over them is impermissible, as we find in the Quran. طيب. And it says, وَذَهَبَ بَعْضُهُمْ إِلَى الْجَوَازِ الْاتِّبَاعِ. Some of the scholars of the past, they say rather it is permissible to follow the funeral processions of non-Muslims. And they say, وَاسْتَدِلُّ عَلَى ذَلِكَ بِآثَارٍ عَنِ السَّلَفِ الصَّالِحِ مِنَ الصَّحَابَةِ وَالتَّابِعِينَ وَمِنْهَا. This is due to some of the positions of some of the Sahaba and some of the Tabi'een with regards to this particular issue. and عددا, they say that a number of the companions رضي الله تعالى عنهم اتبعوا جنائز حارث ibn Abi Rabi'ah, that a group from the companions, they followed the funeral processions of al-Harith ibn Abi Rabi'ah, and she was كانت نصرانية, and she was a Christian. فقد روى إمام محمد بن حسن الشيباني في كتاب الآثار in his book called آثار قال أخبرنا أبو حنيفة عن حماد عن إبراهيم أن الحارث ابن أبي ربيعة ماتت أمه نصرانية. He said that the al-Harith, his mother passed away and she was a Christian. فَتَبِيَ جَنَازَتَهَا فِي رَهْدٍ مِنْ أَصْحَابِ النَّبِيِّ, and a group from among the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, they followed her janazah. It's time for the Maghrib.
No,
It is? Who's fast, huh? Okay. 8 o'clock? بقي دقائق شوي. Huh? No, I want to finish. Whoever was, was anyone fasting? Probably break your fast, inshallah. You want to call the event? I think you should. Huh? Is dates back there? Like, we could, I mean, obviously, if Maghrib is in, break your fast now. We can just call the event when we finish. We're almost done, inshallah. لا أكمل الآن إن شاء الله. طيب قال محمد لا نرى باتباعها بأسا. So this, he said, we don't see it to be a problem to follow the funeral. إلا أنه يتنحى ناحية عن الجنازة, except that you don't be right in the mix, rather you stand off to the side. You're not in the mix, you stand off to the side. وهو قول أبي حنيفة رضي الله تعالى عنه. This is the position of Abi Hanifa رضي الله تعالى عنه. وهذا أثر, we can find this in Ibn Abi Shayba in his Musannaf, عن الثوري عن حماد عن الشعبي قال مات الحارثة أبي ربيعة وكانت نصرانية فشيعها أصحاب محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. شيعها meaning they went and gave condolences, they followed the janazah. وكما استدل بجواز تعزيته في بيته. It is also permissible to give condolences to the non-Muslims in cases like that. And it says, كما زار النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم شاب يهودي ودعا إلى الله حتى أسلم كما في الحديث الذي رواه البخاري. And likewise, to show that it is permissible to give condolences, etc., the Prophet ﷺ, he visited a Jewish kid in the hospital, visited him so much until he took shahada. طيب, we're almost done. وعلى هذا فهو جواز الاتباع فإنه لا حرج في اتباع جنائز الجار الكافر مجاملة. Likewise, they say in this case, someone say it's permissible to follow the janaiz of a funeral of a neighbor, a close neighbor that may be Muslim, that may be a non-Muslim. وقد نص بعض أهل العلم على جواز اتباع جنازته قياسا على قريب. And some of them say it is permissible based off what they found from some other text about following the janaiz of the neighbor. So we also have here, we have وفي صحيح مسلم عن هذه نزلت في سعد بن أبي وقاص. So we also find that Zaad ibn Abi Waqqas, his mother, she was not Muslim, and so she swore not to eat or drink until her son left off Islam. And in Islam, we have been commanded to obey our parents and family, our parents in particular, as long as they do not command us to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who was a non-Muslim. قال يتبعها ويمشي أمامها. It was said, if you're going to go, then follow it, but walk in front of the funeral procession, not behind it. be in front of the funeral procession and not forward. So for example, if you know they're going to bury the body at Fulan, you're going to get there before them, but you don't want to follow the procession. And it says, وَيَمْشِي أَمَامَهَا وَرَوَى ابن عباس أَنَّهُ بَلَّغَهُ أَنَّ رَجُلًا نَصْرَانِيًّا مَاتَ وَلَهُ ابْنُ Muslim. There was a man that was Christian that passed away and he had a Muslim son. فَلَمْ يَتْبَعْهُ. And he didn't follow. The son did not follow the janazah. فَقَالَ ابن عباس كَانَ يَنْبَغِي لَهُ يَتْبَعْهُ وَيَدْفَنَهُ وَجَاءَ فِي الْمَجْمُوعِ. Ibn Abbas said it is better for you, it would have been better for you to follow it and to be with them when they buried the body. وَجَاءَ فِي الْمَجْمُوعِ. And this is in Majmu' al-Nawawi, the Imam al-Nawawi, according to the position of Imam al-Shafi'i, that it is permissible to do this. وَيَجُوزُ لِلْمُسْلِمِ اتِّبَاعُ جَنَازَةَ قَرِيبِهِ الْكَافِرِ. That it is permissible, Imam al-Nawawi mentioned it's permissible for a Muslim to follow the janazah for a close family member that is not a Muslim. We have another narration, a couple minutes inshallah. لا يقرأ للمسلم اتباع جنازة أقاربه من الكفار. They also hold that it's not hated for a Muslim to follow a close family member's funeral that may be a non-Muslim. لما روي عن علي رضي الله تعالى عنه, where he said, قال, this is a statement of Ali ibn Abi Talib, قال أتيت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقلت إن عمك الضال قد مات فقال اذهب فواره. Ali ibn Abi Talib, he went to the Prophet ﷺ, and he said, your uncle that is astray passed away. So the Prophet ﷺ said to him, idhab fawarahu, go and follow the funeral procession. And this was, he was talking about his uncle Abu Talib. Now obviously in this situation there's a difference of opinion. There's a difference of opinion. So don't say all the brothers said it. There's a legitimate difference of opinion. And as it relates to our situation here, it would be remiss if this wasn't mentioned. If you continue as Muslims here in the town that we live in, where 90% of us have non-Muslim family members. There were times before I went to study Islam, I heard cases where brothers' parents may have passed away and they refused to go. This caused a dent in their family. Also for us here in America, and we have non-Muslim family members and they pass away and we have nothing, we don't have no involvement, no talking to them, not seeing it, nothing at all. How do you think they will look at Islam? How do you think? And you have to think about Islam. It's not about you. It's about Al-Islam. As long as there is a position that is possible in some of these cases. I'm not saying go inside of churches when they're all praying and screaming and shouting. Nobody's saying all of that. We're saying is be present if you can. This is a position. I think that this is something that one should consider, considering the fact that you may be the only Muslim in your family. And any and everything they get from a Muslim is going to be by what they see you do. And this is just, and there's a lot more to it, but due to the time of the salat, and I still didn't eat anything, so we're going to stop with that inshallah. Any questions really quick? No,
I'll say it now.
No, go ahead, because it's still recording. It's detailed? It's alright. Huh? Fadl.
So, statement that you say that we live upon the death list for the Muslim and non-Muslim?
What? Say that again?
The statement that you make when you hear about a death, you say that for the Muslim and the non-Muslim?
Oh, and that one day later on, Jim. I mean, we all belong to Allah until Allah will return. So, Allah. Now. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. أذن يا شيخ.
يا شيخ أذن